Today, we are going to get into the science of a feeling I bet we've all had, that deep frustration you get during an unbalanced group project. Yeah, we're going to explore the psychology of slacking. Seriously, think about it. Picture your last big group project. The deadline is breathing down your neck and it hits you. You're doing almost everything, while a couple of your teammates just seem to be, well, coasting. Does that sound familiar?
If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are not alone. This isn't just some personal pet peeve. It turns out it's a really predictable pattern of human behavior. And you know what? Researchers have actually been studying this for more than 100 years. So let's get right to the heart of this thing. This quote right here, it nails the problem. When our individual contributions just sort of dissolve into the larger group effort, our motivation can take a serious nosedive. And the result? The group's total output is actually less than what everyone could have done on their own. This whole phenomenon has a name, and just understanding it is the very first step to fixing it. And that name is social loafing. That's what psychologists call this exact behavior. And no, it's not some new trendy buzzword from a management seminar. Its discovery actually goes all the way back to the early 20th century. So what is it exactly? Well, at its core, social loafing is this tendency we all have to kind of dial back our effort when our work is just pooled together with others. And it's not always about just being lazy. It's more about how being in a group actually changes our perception of responsibility and how much our own work really matters. The story starts way back in 1913 with a guy named Max Ringelmann at a simple rope pulling experiment. He found that 8 men pulling together on a rope didn't pull 8 times as hard as one man. For decades, everyone just figured out it's poor coordination, but then in 1974, Alan Ingham proved it was actually a loss of motivation. And finally, in 1979, Bib Latinet's team had blindfolded students clap and shout, and they measured the volume. What they found was people were loudest when they thought they were alone, and their effort dropped as the perceived group size went up. And that's when the term social loafing was officially born. This chart really makes the Ringelmann effect crystal clear. Look at this. One person working alone? They give 100% of their potential. But put them in a group of 3, and that average effort drops to 85%. And in a group of 8, it absolutely plummets to just 49%. It's a pretty stunning visual of how group dynamics can just drain individual motivation. Okay, so now we know what happens. But I think the much more interesting question is why it happens. What is going on inside our heads that makes us hold back when we're working with a team? Well, researchers have zeroed in on a few key psychological reasons. The first one is a big one: diffusion of responsibility. You know, when everyone is responsible, it can feel like no one is personally responsible. Then there's dispensability of effort. That little voice in your head that says, my contribution won't really make a difference anyway. And maybe the most powerful one, the sucker effect. That's that deep-seated fear we all have of being the one sucker doing all the work while everyone else gets a free ride. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This tendency to loaf isn't universal. Culture actually plays a huge role. Research comparing workers in the US and China found that social loafing is way more common in individualistic cultures. But in more collectivist cultures where the success of the group is everything, the effect is way smaller. In fact, in those cultures, people sometimes even work harder in a group setting. All right, so it's a widespread and, as we've seen, a well-documented problem. But the good news is it's not inevitable, not at all. The research has also given us some clear, evidence-based strategies to fight social loafing and build teams that actually work. So, how do we fix this? Well, the research gives us a pretty clear toolkit. First up, increase identifiability. Basically, make each person's contribution visible. Next, set clear and challenging goals. This gives the team a meaningful target to shoot for. Third, strengthen team cohesion. We just work harder for people we actually care about and feel connected to. Also, a simple one: keep groups small. 3 to 5 people is ideal, because your own effort feels much more essential. And finally, assign unique roles. Make each person the sole expert for their piece of the puzzle. That way, their contribution is absolutely indispensable. Now, knowing how to stop loafing is one thing, but what if we could flip the entire script? What if being in a group could somehow make us work even harder than we would if we were on our own? And that brings us to the other side of this coin. See, the opposite of social loafing isn't just a person working hard by themselves. It's something psychologists call social laboring. This is what happens when people identify so strongly with their group that they actually put in extra effort, working harder for the team than they ever would for just themselves. So here's the ultimate takeaway from all this. A group can either be a drain on individual motivation, or it can be a powerful amplifier. The difference really comes down to making the work identifiable, making the goals meaningful, and making that team identity strong. So the next time you're in a group, the question isn't just about how to stop the loafers. It's about how you can build a team that truly labors together.